I'm going to address Extinction Rebellion directly. Dear climate change protesters, dear Extinction Rebellion, I have been on the record thanking you for raising our collective consciousness. I have defended you from these very airwaves on this very show, on this very station. I have encouraged you to continue doing things in a responsible way. But I tell you this now. Protest, even disruption, civil disobedience are very, very different to playing with our national security. Now, you know as well as I do that ISIS terrorists have threatened to use drones, in particular at airports, to deploy explosives from the air. It's why the drone at Gatwick caused such chaos. And if it's true, and I caveat this, if it is true that you are threatening to fly drones over Heathrow Airport, then what you are doing is that you are causing panic and fear for the sake of a political objective. Laudable though it may be, it doesn't matter how laudable your political aim is. If you're holding the country hostage and spreading panic and fear, and ultimately there may well be casualties because it's dangerous to fly drones over airports and through flight paths. But ultimately, even if there isn't casualties, you're causing panic and fear in pursuit of a political program. That, unfortunately for you, is the very definition of terrorism. And personally for me, as somebody who has been supportive of you on air so far, you will be crossing a line, because the other thing that I'm very supportive, especially, and I say this especially as a British Pakistan origin Muslim, is in our fight against terrorism. And if you make that fight harder, and if you make it more difficult for our government to be able to discern your childish pranks from a very real ISIS threat, considering what just happened in Sri Lanka with ISIS fighters spreading across the world after their so-called caliphate was destroyed, and considering one of their biggest UK cheerleaders, Anjem Choudhury, has been released from jail, and considering that his acolytes are once again ratcheting up their propaganda online, what you're doing makes it harder for GCHQ, makes it harder for our security services to discern the difference between your pranks and serious, nasty people that want to maim and kill in pursuit of their own political program. And so I tell you this, you will lose my support, and you will lose the support of hundreds of thousands of others in this country if you continue down this path. It is not clever. It is not funny to play with national security in this way. Serious terrorists, the likes of which you are far too privileged to even get inside the minds of. And I can tell you that because I've lived with them in the jails of Egypt. These people would not think twice before sending a drone headfirst into an aeroplane and killing 380, 350 people in an instant. They will celebrate it. And it is only your privilege that blinds you to understand the risks that are at stake here. Yes, the climate is important. Climate change is incredibly important. And because it's so important, you mustn't do anything to jeopardize public sympathy for that cause. And by this behaviour of yours, you are jeopardizing public sympathy, because I can tell you one thing. I remember on LBC and other media the number of people that were defending you openly on air. There were a handful of them, and I was one of them. So if you lose my support, it isn't too difficult a conclusion to reach that you will lose the support of many, many people in this country, because there were only a handful of us that were actually prepared to openly defend you. This will be seen as a prank, as a stunt, but even worse, as a direct threat to our country's national security. We cannot tolerate drones over airports. You will have been crossing the line from laudable political activism, from laudable consciousness raising, from laudable civil disobedience and protest to eco-terrorism.